We should be going live now. Hello and welcome back to the Black Lodge. It is February. I hope you are all keeping very, very well. If you were dry in Jan, then I hope that you broke it today. If you were damp like myself, then hope the drams have been good to you. It is a bit odd doing this. Need to break back into doing it. Been a wee while since I've done a stream, and did have a couple planned, but I knew I was going to be away. I was out the country for a little bit on a Saturday. Then last week I was supposed to be in Glasgow for a wonderful Burns night that we'd organised, and sadly the storm came. I couldn't take the chances with flights and didn't want to be stranded up there and commitments here, and so I ended up just feeling a bit sorry for myself last Saturday night and had a couple of drams there. I do hope that you guys, wherever you were, had good Burns night drams. Tonight we are doing not a huge amount, to be honest. It's just going to be a chat, a dram session, chatting about a few drams, talking about some of the content that's coming up, talking about the state of whiskey this year. I know we started it in the first stream of the year, but there's been a few bits and pieces that have came in since then. I would love to know what's in the glass with you all tonight. I'm kicking off with just something a bit chilled and easy, which is Singleton 12, Signatory in the brain, Singleton 12. Purely because I just wanted to start the palate with something really easy, nice, easy going. And it does. It's really sweet. It's very floral, light, green fruit. It's just a really nice compliment to start a kind of couple of drams and as we go in through the night. There's been a fair bit happening in the world of whiskey since the last stream. I don't know if you know, as of today in the UK, taxation has kicked in, and the taxation is not great. I think it's something like 70% is taxed on a bottle. I really should have done my research on that. I've got I did screen grab it because a lot of people have been sharing it on Instagram, and it's pretty shocking, to be honest. When you take into account the financial situation that a lot of the distilleries find themselves in as well. Yeah, I've got it here. First time, total tax on every bottle of Scotch whisky sold in the UK will be at least £12 off the bat. Pure tax. And they've broke that down. If you go on the Scotch Whisky SWA Instagram, they've got it, but 53% excise duty, 17% VAT, so 70% is total tax. And then that leaves 30% of the bottle price to pay for everything else. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Has everybody been enjoying their Christmas drams? Have you got any? Has everybody been being good during this time of year? Did anybody do dry Jan? I'd tempted with it, but to be honest, I don't my plan was to do no beer in Jan, and then we went to Spain, and so I kind of had to do some beer, as it seems. But outside of that, I've just been having whiskey and the odd bit of sherry. Nothing else, really. I haven't even got any beers in the house or in here. It's been a bit different this year. This singleton is going down a treat. It's very, very nice. So World of Whiskey. We're coming up to, we're in February now. January, I think, hits everybody quite hard in terms of sales are down across the board because they peak in December with gifting and stuff like that. We're now looking at the rollout, and I was in one of the whiskey shops the other day, and just looking at the shelves, and there's just nothing. It's hard to get excited about new releases or anything new coming out. There's an Octomore 11-year-old released today. 440 quid. What's going on? Who's that for? Good evening. Let me fix that so that goes down there. Be a little bit smaller. Bear with me. I'm going to call you M, because that's the initial that's there. I'll be trying Ardbeg Bizarre and a Kilchoman single cask 9-year-old, 100% Isla, ex-bourbon tonight. Cheers. I've got that Bizarre behind me, and it is a treat. It's probably, I think I even said it in a video, it's the best of what Ardbeg's put out in a long time, and the price point was right, the profile was right, and you just kind of look at it and you think, you can do it, you really can do it, and I hope that that's more of the direction they start going in, because I think the days of £200 special releases are going to slowly draw to an end, because it's unsustainable. Nobody's got that money anymore. Evening, Jeff Whiskey. Congratulations on your 4 years. Jeff did a great 4-year stream last night that I managed to join in for part of, to watch along. I know he's been a busy boy today, busy man, painting. So I hope the fumes haven't been too heavy for you, mate, and I hope you've managed to get yourself a dram to kick back and enjoy. I'm on Singleton 12 at the moment, which I'm sure will shock people, but it's nice. Like, it's a nice, easy-going dram. I think I paid 25 quid for that in the gift set. You can't beat that. You cannot beat that. I've got a new setup, so if you see me looking in weird directions, bear with me. I've got a lot going on, and I don't know. Let me know if the audio sounds okay, because I took some stuff apart, put stuff together again, as people are prone to do when you're doing all this tech stuff. But yeah, that Bizarre is fantastic, and a Kilchoman single cask, 9-year-old. I've got a Kilchoman single cask up there, I think it's 4 years old, that was bottled for Germany, maybe, and it was great. So I can only imagine 9-year ex-bourbon. Staying hydrated as well. New year, new me. We'll take Busy Boy, painting done for the night, but sadly no dram. All sounds and looks crystal. Fantastic. Thanks, Jeff. You know the pains. It's really difficult, and I was trying to get this set up before going live, and then thank God I did some wee tests, and it turned out my output was going through the wrong thing, and then my input wasn't coming in, and then stress you don't need before you start, but I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't. So yeah, I think I'd love to know you that are watching, and anybody watching on catch up in the chat and stuff like that as well. I know Roy's done it on Aquavitae about like buying patterns and what people are doing and stuff like that. I feel myself struggling to buy, which is probably for the first time, and by that I mean struggling to just be excited by stuff to buy. I've got a couple of drams behind me for later tonight that did get me excited, and I rushed out and bought. There's a couple in the pipeline that I'll be looking forward to trying to get, like Springbank Local Barley and stuff like that, but outside of that, I was disappointed. I went for two of my favourite things together at last. I went for the Ardnamurk and Thompson Brothers collab bottle, and normally I do really well in the ballots, and I didn't get one, and that was pretty gutting, because that would have been fantastic to try, but can't win them all. So aside from that, I don't know if there's been much kind of get me worked up, like excited for. Paul Smith, got some Singleton 18 on the go. The joys of having a father-in-law who's a Diageo pensioner. Cost price. By the way, those Diageo pensions are not to be sniffed at. They are not to be sniffed at. I can understand why people spend their entire career at Diageo. That's the life stage that a good few of us are at. But the 18, yeah, I think Singleton. I believe they're going to be repositioning Singleton. I've seen some in duty free. I think they're going to try and make it premium, like every whiskey brand's try to do. But the juice is good if it's at the right price, and I think people can lose track of that sometimes. But I need to get in with some Diageo pensioners myself and get some of the old stock. Always at the whiskey show, tip, do go to the Diageo stands and chat to the people there. They're really passionate about what they do, and you'll get some fantastic whiskey. I got an amazing, I'm pretty sure it was a 1996 Ben Rinnes under the counter pour. Oh, fantastic. Derek, great to have you. Starting with a Timorous Beastie. Yeah. Just the standard Timorous Beastie, or what one have they got? Is it like Tame the Beast or something they brought out? There was a bit of a sale on Douglas Lang this week, and I've actually picked up a Douglas Lang bottle. First time in a while. The Big Pete, this sherry one. Paul, it's pretty tasty stuff, to be honest, at the price. It is. It's Singleton's nice. There's a reason they're positioning it in the way they do. If you follow any of the people, I think it's Scotch Kirsty and stuff on Instagram, who work in that space and work on Singleton, the way they're positioning it is a kind of gateway whiskey for maybe foodies or a non-traditional whiskey crowd. And I can see why, because it is such an easy drinker and it's a lovely liquid. But I think they're missing a trick, because if they positioned it towards people like us, we'd buy a couple of bottles a year. You're doubling your sales. Aye. But a nice one to ease in on. Sorry, it's the Global Travellers Edition. Don't be sorry about that. So is that, what's the proof on that? Does it say anything? Does it give you any kind of insight into what it is, or anything like that? And Jeff, no drams, are you on? Do you need to be on best behaviour after last night, or is it just taking a break? I am going to try and start doing these most Saturdays, and I know I said that before, and I said at the start for anyone that's joining late. Just a nice kickback, minimal agenda of sorts. I'm going to try and just maybe get some people to join in, dial in, tell me what's in the glass, bit of chit chat. I think so many great live streams now coming out of whiskey. I don't want to pigeonhole myself into anything. I just want it to be quite casual and quite enjoyable. And if anybody knows it's got young kids, my little one's in bed by now. We have a very early start on a Saturday, take her swimming, so this is my only opportunity for downtime, so I can combine that with the streaming, which is it's an experience in itself. Dangerous how easy that goes down. Jeff, need to try the Singleton. Think got a couple of drams. Maybe replace Speyburn when that dwindles down. Yeah, what's the deal with the Speyburn? I've seen a lot of Speyburn chat. I need to read that Dramface article. Are they changing the proof? Are they dropping the proof, or are they changing? Are they? I don't know. I don't quite understand. And to be honest, I've never really tried much Speyburn. Singleton 12, Jeff, I would say if you get it on a deal, I got it with 2 glasses and a box set for £25. Bit of a no-brainer for me at that. Derek, 48%. No details, no colour added, non-chill filtered, at least exactly. Tasty as well. Timorous Beasties is the Highland malt, I think. Is that right? I think that one is the Highland. Jeff, talking about drams, not had a chance to grab one. Between painting and fitting a washing machine, I'm beat. Oh mate, I would have had the dram while I was doing both of those, to be honest, if it was up to me. I got away with it today. I've got a new series coming out. I've broke my golden... I've not broke it, but I always said I would never make reviews because I didn't want to have to always drink to make videos. But there are no reviews, so I'm not breaking that rule. It's basically just me trying whiskies and seeing if I like them or not. And so last night I started, got a few videos in the bag, and then today, this afternoon, I managed to get a few in as well. So just kind of keep myself busy. Want to get more content out this year. That's my main ambition for the whiskey year, is to get more content out, but I don't want to put content out for the sake of putting it out. I've got Drams on the Run that needs editing, that is minus any drams. It's basically, I was in Seville a couple of weeks ago and took myself off to Jerez, the home of sherry, and did a bodega tour and a wee wander around the city. And that was thanks to a very, very, very understanding wife, who let me just leave Seville for the day on a train and go and drink wine from like 11:30 in the morning, and I came back about 5:30. So that'll be an interesting video to edit, because there was a lot of sherry on the tour alone. Highly recommend. You'll get to see the video when it comes out, but if you ever get the chance, if you're in that part of the world, it's an hour away from Seville by train. Go, it's fantastic. And I saw bloody Alan Carr and Amanda Holden on their TV show. They went to where I went, so it's topical at the moment. Blue Spayburn 15 and 18 are lowering ABV and filtering. Oh well. Maybe financially, maybe it works for them. Maybe it's feedback from foreign markets, because we know that that's pretty much the driver of filtration, isn't it? It's foreign markets. They don't want the whiskey to look cloudy if it's cold. But that's what it is. Derek, it's a Highland, decent enough. Yeah, it's that Douglas. I've said it before. That Douglas Lang stuff is good. It's great stuff for the value. I think they do the right way of marketing it. It's not intimidating to get into at all. As I said, I've got that Big Pete, the Sherry edition, and it was on sale. I paid £37.50 for it last week, and just it's cast strength. I think it's 54.8 or something like that. Maybe 58.4, one of those two. And I thought, how bad can it be? And I tried it, and it's one of those tasting videos that I've just done. But it held up. 35 quid, or 37.50. It was, yeah, great. Really nice blend. It says it's a blend as well, blended malt. And I was trying to place which two that would be now. I assumed Kalila will be the bulk of it. But do let me know. What would you say is the main bulk fodder from Isla? Because I just think Kalila, but is there something else that I'm missing? Because when I tried it, I did think Bowmore was in there. It reminded me a bit of a Bowmore, but I don't know if they punt that out for blends. I'm not sure. So we were saying, in terms of buying habits, I say that I'm not buying much, and I've bought a couple of bottles already. I got another Ben Rinnes. Signatory 100. That came up when I was in Seville, and I just hit the button because it's too good a bottle not to have. I really hope anybody that's watching that over the last few weeks when I've praised it, if you got the chance to try it, or if you got the chance to get a bottle, I really hope you did, because it's just phenomenal. It would have been whiskey of the year for me if it wasn't for the time period that was there with that Kuboken 15, which in itself is a phenomenal whiskey. But I will say that heartache of not getting that Ardnamurchan Donnock cask in the ballot, I figured tonight was a good opportunity, and as good a reason as any, to open one of the single casks that I do have from them, which is this one here. Now, what's intriguing about this one is when they put it up for ballot, and I was lucky enough to win it, a few of us thought it was a typo. And the reason we thought it was a typo was because of the cask. I'm going to turn this around and hopefully you can see it. Oops. There we go. It's in a PX octave. And I don't know if I've ever seen any Donnock PX. And you probably would get people that would be like, don't you dare open that. But that's what it's here for. If you can have a look. Bottle 44 of 89. So I figured, you know what, first of Feb, good luck and all that. Let's toast the new month with a new bottle opening. I was going to save this for the video, but I think maybe a wee bit of air into it would be good stuff. There you go. There's your ASMR for the day. Happy New Year to you too, Alan. You've joined just at the right time as I'm about to pour myself a dram of something a wee bit special. So fermentation, brewer's single, the barley's flow malted Maris Otter, 7 days fermentation. This was filled on the 12th of November 2019. God, before we knew it was coming. And then bottled on the 7th of February 2024, so nearly a year ago. It's sat. There we go. Let's see what we're going to get. Let's see what we get on the nose here. You've got that sherryness now. I don't know if you've had any single cask Donnock, any of the Donnock Spirit. They just did a ballot that I forgot to enter for another single cask. And it's like the Donnock Mezcal, they say. And when you try their new make spirit, a lot of it, there's such a mezcal-y, tequila-esque makeup to it. But the once it matures and stuff in cask, it gets more rounded. But it's got that sherryness. It's not super sweet. PX, a lot of the time, it can be very overpowering. There's a great Daffmill single cask that I had, and thankfully I've still got a bottle of it. I don't know when I'll ever open that. Probably the best Daffmill I've ever had, where you get that perfect fusion of PX and the spirit, where you know you can taste Daffmill but you can taste the PX. So I'm intrigued to see. Wow. Very green, very vegetal. Bear in mind I'm coming from the Singleton one. I think that needs a wee bit of time just to breathe. It's very pleasant. It's not unpleasant at all. Circumstance just released a Maris Otter from Stirling Cask. Yeah, I wonder. The Donnock guys do a lot with that Circumstance crew, so I do wonder. And what was the age of that circumstance, Alan? Was that? Because this is, bear in mind, this is 4 years old. So I'm assuming that circumstance would be about 3, 4, 5 maybe. And it's such a small amount. 50 litre PX Octave. Where do we stand on the swirling of the glass? I don't care. I don't know if it does much, but it's got a lovely nose on it. For that proof, 52.2, it's not spirity at all. It's very front of palate, very green. That's the only way I can describe it, green. I'll need to sit with that for a wee while. Work that out. Hello, Tim. Thompson Brothers Williamson 12 Lefroy in the glass. Cheers. Great shout. Great shout. We're just on, if you've just seen, I am currently drinking this. Just opened this up. This Donnock PX cask. Circumstance was 68 months, so God, 5 years. What's that? 5 years, 8 months. So a wee bit older. So you never know. Maybe they were taught, like, it's a small world, the brewing world, isn't it, and the distilling world. So I do wonder. But I know that they've laid down casks, haven't they? They've done a swap scheme. And I saw that Jack from Donnock is out at, I'm going to butcher this, is it Kanasuke? It's Kanasuke. If Mac from Camp Piper Planet sees this, he'll murder me, but I think it's I'll call it Kanasuke. He's out there on some sort of exchange, brewing, well, distilling out there. So they've got really good kind of, I don't know, what's the word? They network really well for that. But I'm glad I had an excuse to open this. It's got the old, I don't know what the painting is, the Major's dram. I wonder if anybody knows or would be kind enough to look up what the circumstances are for this. But it's nice. It's not bad. Don't know if you're expecting if I was expecting like a PX bomb. It's definitely not that. Evening, Jeffrey. Hello, you bloats. Is that how you speak? Dram is a Glengarry 1995. Oh, mate. Fantastic. You say Glengarry, you've got me. You've got my attention. Fantastic spirit. Glengarry. Big things coming at Glengarry. Take a couple of more years, but the flow maltings, they are going to rebrand. They're going all out. They're pretty much the Highland Springbank. I know people like to say about Romac, but the way they make, and the longer it's slept on, the better for us. But I don't know how much longer, because everybody's looking for value, and they deliver value in spades, if you know what you're looking for. Alan, circumstance stuck it in Virgin European. Interesting whiskey. Not sure how much chance to taste what different. Yeah. I think at that stage as well, in that age, because I don't know the terroir approach and the barley, and I know local barley and Springbank do it, and sometimes whiskey's just like whiskey's good and whiskey's bad, and it doesn't matter if it's the same barley or if it's different barley, and there's so many factors at play. When I went to, God, a year ago, when I went to Kentucky, and David, the head distiller at Glens Creek, and he'd fashioned his stills himself, and they're all Frankensteined, and I asked him, I said, you hear all these stories about when like a distillery replaces a still and it gets an exact 100% replica with the same dents, and it makes such an important difference to the spirit in that. And his opinion was just a load of horse shit, to be honest. And how do you know that the makeup is, the taste is 30% from the still and 60% from the cask and 10%? He's like, it's just marketing spiel. I'm not dismissing it, because I'm sure it does. I'm sure, like, the barley and all that does play a big effect, but to what we're discussing, I don't know if it's, I don't actually see much difference in what we're looking at. Could be completely wrong. Could be saying really controversial stuff here. People want to kill me about it because it's the internet, but hopefully not. The longer this sits, surprise, surprise, the better it's getting. The PX is really starting to come forward. If you can see. Colour. It's almost picking up like a, almost like a bourbon-esque sweetness to it. Like kind of cherry vanilla. It's get, yeah. My palate's getting used to it now. That's delicious. I hate doing stuff like this. This is one of the reasons. Because I know that it's no easy to get hold of. And no, there's 89 bottles of that. So really, you're having to listen to me rattle on a bit of whiskey that you're never going to try. But I don't know. Is that enjoyable? Or would you rather that I just stuck to stuff that people can get a hold of or whatever? Do let me know. Because I kind of second guess myself sometimes with that. And it's not a humble brag of that of, oh, I've got this. It was more just a case of I just wanted to open it. And I needed an excuse. And you guys are a perfect excuse for that. We got some new bits and pieces for Christmas. I say we, the stream and the video content got some new bits and pieces. And one of them is just to the right of me. And I'm so tempted to use it. And I did try, but I need to lean off camera and do it. So don't panic. Don't panic. PX Woodhouse. Good night. I'll catch you on the replay. The joy of independent. But there's a variation. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you can see behind me what's just happened. And PX, have a lovely evening. And I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for joining. Side note, suggested blended malt. How's that comes up? Suggested blended malt for circa 80 quid. Blended malt at 80 quid. I don't know if you'd need to go that high, to be honest. Look at Douglas Lang ones. At the moment, they've got some good deals, and I kind of trust their blended malts. Outside of that, I'm struggling for anything to come up in my name, like top of my head. Maybe some of the chat, maybe some of the guys in the chat might be able to help. Blended malt. That amount, I'm trying to think. You seen this? You won't be able to see the smoke. Exactly, Alan. Exactly. I'd seen, if you watch much like online content or YouTube or that, there's a guy called Casey Neistat. He's like a YouTube OG. Him and his brother and stuff, and his brother's content's phenomenal. Van Neistat, but he's been affected by the California wildfires and stuff like that. Digress. He was making a video and he had this little pocket smoke machine, and just it was like this size, like a flask size. And I thought, oh, that's amazing. And I looked it up and it was like 250 quid. And I was like, absolutely not. Because I was thinking, for bottle shots and some video bits and pieces. And so I jokingly put it on my Christmas list saying smoke machine to my wife as a joke. And she got me one. She got me a smoke machine for Christmas. Yeah, a bit of stage smoke. But it also has, like, I don't know if you'll be able to see. It's got like disco lights on it as well. It goes mental, look. So let me get rid of that. Go back to normal. So I tested it out last week. I had to buy smoke for it. And it comes in industrial size canisters. And I was like, do in a whole place. And it lingers for ages. But does it look? It might look good. I think that looks good on the camera. Like nice smokiness in the background. Thankfully, it's odorless, and it's non-toxic. Otherwise, this would make for a really interesting stream. The first and last of February. Imagine what Ralphie would say if he saw this. Oh, he'd have a fit. He'd have a fit. I love the minute smoke. No horse racing the night, but just smoke and mirrors for everybody. But yeah, no, that's delicious. That is a fantastic dram. I'm glad I've waited though, and I'm glad I've had it just after that singleton, because I've got a couple other ones that I think might have just, the nuance in this would have been lost. The glass smells delicious. It's fucking lovely. And I don't know if they've done a PX since. I really hope they have, because that hits the spot. Alan used to be a local pool team who had a smoke machine to welcome the opposition team. He'd also cry welcome to hell while hitting the smoke button. Honestly, I've been thinking about loads of stuff, and obviously this is called the Black Lodge, and the reason for it is, A, I love Twin Peaks and the David Lynch stuff, but B, my wife wanted it, she wanted it painted black when we got it, because in, don't know, not interior design, but in something, apparently if you paint it black, it makes the garden look longer and the green pop and all this kind of stuff. So we painted it black, but the problem is in the summer, down here, especially with the way the world's went now, you're hitting 40 degrees, so it gets a bit mental. But the Black Lodge itself, my plan was to maybe set up the smoke machine, pump a ton of smoke out, and then open the door and come out for the intro for a video to do a tasting of, like, I don't know, like Black Label or something like that. I don't know how I'm going to use this, to be honest. I just find it quite funny. It puts a smile on my face, puts a smile on my wife's face. The neighbours, God knows what they think happens in here. But mention the Black Lodge, David Lynch. Don't know if many David Lynch fans are in. Gutted, but no, because he lived a good life. If you saw the Fablemans, the Steven Spielberg kind of semi-autobiography movie that he did, he plays, is it John Ford he plays, the director? He just steals it. Brilliant. Talking about the horizon. If you must have seen the clip. If you've not, look it up. Talks about the horizon, where it's interesting. But yeah, Twin Peaks. Shout out to David Lynch. May he rest in peace. And still to this day, there's great videos on YouTube of people watching Twin Peaks for the first time now. And there's a guy doing one he's trying to solve who killed Laura Palmer before it's revealed. And it's fascinating to watch. His brain's going everywhere. And then when he gets it, he's just like, oh, never got that. Jeffrey, my dad would say a den of antiquity. I need what? That's gone down too easy now as well. It's lovely. I'd give it a solid, first pour, neck pour, give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. quality stuff. Well done, guys. Well done, all involved. So we're coming into February. As I mentioned, Springbank are bringing out, well, they're due to release the local barley, and whatever their other bottles are due to come out. You had Octomore come out today with that ludicrous price, 440 quid for a bottle of Octomore. Any bottles for your Christmas? I've received one bottle for Christmas, Alan, which I found, I'm used to it. To be honest, well, that's one bottle more than I've received the last couple of years. People don't buy me whiskey, and it's really frustrating. I don't know if people worry that, oh, he's already got it, or he's got this or got that. The likelihood is I won't, because I don't have standard bottles. Everything I'm buying is from like specialist shops and stuff like that these days. And it would be nice, so that's why I actually bought myself the Singleton, and I bought the Talisker Distillers Edition that was on Amazon, because I was like, nobody's going to be picking me these up for Christmas, so I'll pick them up myself. I got a Locklear, a bottle of Locklear, the standard bottle from my brother-in-law, and I opened it last week for Burns Night, because I figured, why not? He stayed on the farm, didn't he? So I got that. I did receive quite a few whiskey books. People feel comfortable buying me the whiskey books, but not the whiskey. I would love to pick up, colour me influenced, some Glenmorangie or Glenmorangie. I always thought it was pronounced Glenmorangie. I'm sure they used to say Glenmorangie, but now they're saying it's Glenmorangie, so I don't know. I don't know which one it is. After that Harrison Ford advert, which I was going to make a video about it, but I don't have the time to make it the way I want to make it, so I'm happy to talk about that here. They nailed it. It's the first whiskey advert I've seen in such a long time where they nailed it. They stuck the landing. Like, advertising is not difficult. It comes down to, like, I'm going to bore people here, but it comes down to Maslow's hierarchy of need and want, and the way you work through it. And is it essential? Is it a want? Is it a need? Blah blah, utility, all that kind of stuff. They took a guy that for a couple of generations of people was the ultimate cool guy. You had Han Solo, you had Indiana Jones, you had Deckard from Blade Runner. They played on his current perceived personality, which is grumpy bastard. They played on fish out of water. They did the Lost in Translation style, fling them foreign land, castles and all that. They play on the stereotype of castles and locks and glens and bagpipes and kilts and like everything like that. And it just lands. It just worked. Where you believe that, yeah, he would. That it's so well done. And the fact that the hero image is the punchline, that play, it just worked really well. And so everybody involved in that needs a massive round of applause, because it's no easy to market whiskey anymore at all. And I think you can see that. There's been a few examples of people going with celebs to try and pull them in. It's not as simple as you just put a celeb endorsement and then you attract people in. I think Harrison Ford brings a lot of people at the table, and the way he describes it, he says smooth, he says it's nice. That's it. Like, you could literally call it like Glenmorangie. It's nice. It doesn't go overboard with it. And it helps that the spirit's really good. I like it. I'm going to keep calling it Glenmorangie. Glenmorangie. I do. I like Quinta Rubin. I love the Quinta Rubin. But it made me want to buy a bottle to have, because I don't have it, and that's an example of pulling it back to gifting. That's a supermarket whiskey, and if they get that out in the States and stuff, they will see sales go up. Absolutely, there is generations of men that will buy that whiskey because Harrison Ford has it. Whereas you flip it on the other side and you have that Sir Davis, which is the Beyonce whiskey that's named after like her grandfather and all that kind of stuff, and there's just not been the same. I never saw the same cut through. I never saw an ad that landed the way it landed. So it is interesting. And then I think what was the final cherry on top was the fact that the press and the journalists and the Instagrammers and the influencers and all that, I didn't see any criticism of it at all. Everybody loved it. And that never happens in whiskey. That never happens. There's always something nitpick. So I think that was really encouraging. I really enjoyed that, and I would love to get a bottle of that as a gift. 25 quid. 30 quid. So, long story, long way about there. Apologies, Alan, but no, I never got any bottles for Christmas. Jeffrey, so Johnny, would you rather buy what interests us unless you give the gift? Give us a suggested list. No, I'd like, to be honest, I'd get me something at the supermarket. Genuinely, just buy me a bottle. In fact, my brother-in-law got me a bottle a lot later, and he bought it from a whiskey store online. And of all the things he could have picked, he picked that. Which had a wee chuckle at. No, because it's bad or anything. Just there's a long meme going on about Locklear. And of all the whiskies he could have done, I have a mug that references Locklear. And it's just quite fitting that he did that. But honestly, what's the worst? What's the worst that can happen? They get me a bottle of Bell's. Fine, I'll use it for whiskey sodas in the summer. Like, that's not a problem. They get me, like, genuinely any bottle will get consumed, and it will be given. I think the appreciation of someone buying you something that you really enjoy, bracket, is more than enough. It doesn't matter what it is, in my opinion. The 10, 12 is nice. Well, yeah, the Glenmorangie. I don't know what one came first. What was first, 12 or 10? They've changed it, and I couldn't work out. And they both look the exact same, and they're both selling at the same price. And so then part of me was like, maybe I buy both bottles and do, is there a change or a shift in it? Unless you have a whiskey pal who might have an idea of what you like. Yeah, unless you've got like people that can do it. I know that my mum bought me a gift. She got me last year for my birthday. I've still not opened it. It's on the shelf over there. I had time to open it. An Indian whiskey that Ralphie recommended. She went, how did she know who Ralphie was? I have no idea. She went on YouTube. It popped up. He was reviewing this Indian whiskey, and he said it was good, so she bought me it. So she made a wee bit of effort. Really appreciated it. Tim, the Glenmoe 10 is older bottling, so they've went to a 12. That bold, very bold, because they normally. Is there a reason? Probably they'll say it'll taste different, taste better, blah blah blah. It's a bit of a strange shift. Normally in the past it's been age statements either reduced or disappeared completely. Like Glenlivet, they had a stock shortage. Glenlivet 12, and then they just got rid of the 12, brought out Founders Reserve for a few years until the stock came back up. Yeah, that Thompson Brothers, fantastic. Really, really enjoyed that. With my free glass from the, don't you can see the Tom and Tool dinner that I got invited to. My first and only PR invite. fantastic experience, mad. And I got a wee goodie bag as I left. So, do I need to put, what do you reckon? Do I need to put hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored? Because always get full disclosure here. I got a Millennium 10 and compared to current Glenmorangie 10. Scarily similar, shows how consistent they are. Yeah, that actually was something that I was talking about today. I've got an older Johnny Walker green label, and I've got an older Johnny Walker black label, and I wanted to do a wee test between old and new to see the change, because that comes up quite a lot in conversation. But the fact that that level, but that's the whole point, isn't it? And that's why people get up in arms about chill filtration and colouring and that. But these whiskies are like McDonald's. They produce so much at such a scale that there has to be a level of consistency, so that if you buy a bottle at any given time in any given place, you know what you're going to get. If you buy a cheeseburger in Thailand versus buying a cheeseburger in New York, they should taste the same at McDonald's, really. So if they've got that down, that fair play. I don't think when I do the black label test, it's going to be the same. I really don't. I think I saw the Whiskey Tribe back when they were doing the Whiskey Vault, the two of them. They would do flavour drift tests with older bottles to see how it would go. Palicatado, yeah, it's as I said, the Quinta Rubin, they changed the age on that as well, and they changed the labelling. It became green. It used to be black. So there is a history of Glenmorangie shifting ages and moving stuff about. Now that I start to think about it, I remember being pissed off when they did it, because I loved that bottle that I had of it, and then I could never get it again. Give me a second, guys. I am going to go and get my next one.
Hello there.
And if that played the way it should have played, that was the dulcet tones of Mr. Richard Patterson, as I'm sure you're all aware. Now we've moved on to something a wee bit different from the Thompson brothers, but actually in the same wheelhouse of what we're talking about. I dug it out today for a video, and I've only got about that much left, and I thought, let's get into it. I don't know if you can see the colour. It actually looks, on camera, it looks darker than it is. That's not the colour. It's far more, I'd say wheat, like a light yellowy contrast to it. Much lighter than what on camera. On camera it looks quite dark. And it's the Johnny Walker Blue Label. I've had this bottle for, let me see. God. 2021. Nearly 3.5 years I think I've had this bottle. It was gifted to me. And I said, maybe 4 years I've had it. And I didn't open it. I sat on it for ages until a proper right occasion came, and I opened it. And I drank it. And I found it was nice. Would I ever buy it for myself? No. But it just sat for so long. I was like, you know what? And I tried it today, and it's lovely. So different. Wow. When you go from that to Blue Label. And that's why I could never buy Blue Label. I just can't qualify the price. It just doesn't make any sense. But we're talking, it's funny because we are talking about, Alan's talking about Johnny Walker here as well. The components for black and green probably change over time, so harder for consistency over large time periods for those products. Yes, absolutely. And so it is difficult, and so you'll get more of a flavour drifted. But I did wonder if at that scale, but then Glenmorangie's been massive since forever. You know, like me, all through my growing up phase, it's always been there. It's always been a consistent bottle of whiskey, like a good bottle of whiskey. So they've got it dialed in. So as long as the casks, the quality of cask stays the same, nothing's really going to change there, is it? Glenmorangie 12, the Lysander here is what I have. Not too shabby. Yeah, that's a sherried one, isn't it? Yeah, I've had that as well. It's nice. And they were doing deals on that before Christmas. We were able to get that quite cheap. I don't know if they were trying to clear backstock and get the backstock out. Never understand why they don't up the ABV even slightly for the blue. Yeah, they do up the ABV, but not for the blue. The traditional standard blue. They up it for the special editions they do, I believe. Because I've got one out there now that's a silly price that comes with like a puffer jacket, some edition, and then they brought out one that was like a Japanese inspired chef collab, and I tried that at the Whiskey Exchange, and it was fine. Like, it was nice again, but 280 quid for a bottle, and that's just never going to happen. Excuse me a wee second, I'm getting a message about my daughter. Oh, good. Next comment is, blue is overrated, possibly a farce. Green is definitely the best. I love Green Label. I do, and it pains me to say that. The Green Label is great. It's pure malt. It's fantastic. I don't know if I'd say blue is overrated. I think blue's positioning is such that it's positioned as a gifting luxury item, and it always has. And I think over the years, I would imagine the stocks have changed, and that there would have been a period where blue was fantastic whiskey in it. You get the blue label, the Ghost and Rare, where they pull stuff in, and I'm sure there's great stuff in those as well. When you hold the bottle, so I've got the bottle's sitting up there. The bottle weighs a ton. It's such thick glass. And then you have the box and you have all that. You can see why it's gifted so much for like graduations and weddings and all this. And opening that bottle and pouring it, it's got a weight to it, and the weight gives it an authority and a legitimacy of like, this is quality, like a craftsmanship of it. The liquid's good. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. When you try it, when you go through the lineup, blue is definitely like, compared to some of the other Johnny Walkers, when you line them up, you notice that marked difference. It's sweeter, it's lighter, but there's a depth to it, and it's got a bit of something about it in the glass, even though it's only 40%. So I wouldn't say it's overrated. I would say it has its place, and its place isn't on an everyday drinker whiskey world. It is a gifting bottle, and it lives in that world. And I think Johnny Walker and Diageo know that's where it lives. And it's something that's instantly recognisable. Like, if you wanted to show a really easy way of doing wealth, you just, in a TV show of that, the way they do it with Macallan, you can do it with Johnny Walker Blue. You can do something really blasé with it, and it would show that it signifies wealth and signifies wastage and all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't hate. I wouldn't. I was going to say I wouldn't hate on it or anything. Not that anybody's hating on it, but I understand what you're saying in terms of the general perception of it, and I agree. Green has always been, for me, my favourite of those. But I poured it for that reason. I poured it because it ends up just sitting there and I don't get to them. And it's nice to remind myself, like, this is what a lot of people consider to be like the fanciest whiskey, the best whiskey. And it's just pleasant. But I checked today, you're looking at between 140 and 200 quid for a bottle of Blue Label. Imagine what you could buy with that. That's how I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Let's see. To be fair, the bottle would look good on shelf. Oh, what happened there? Did I do something by accident there? No. To be fair, the bottle would look good on shelf. Yeah, I've got the box is sat in here for so long, and I had to take it out of the box and put it on my shelf. Like, but it's not even it's too big to be on the shelf and too heavy. Purely just because I have to use it. I just don't want it running out. Yes, positioning flagship. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's Johnnie Walker's flagship brand, and I went up a couple of years ago. It was the Six Nations, and I went up for Scotland versus Ireland on a work trip, as a guest or someone, and we went to the Johnnie Walker bar. We on the Sunday evening, we couldn't go for the tour or anything. We went, and they were like, right, what should we have? And irony is, you go there and it's all in tumblers. Some big tumblers. I think again we get caught up on like Glencairns and stuff, but you'd have expected there. Anyway, we get a flight. Like, they make me select a flight, and so I said to them, "Well, fine, I'll get you let's get Johnnie Walker Blue, Johnnie Walker Green, and then we got we got a Lagavulin and maybe a Killila, something like that." Yeah. The Johnnie Walker Blue was like third or fourth pick down the way it went. It's just not really there, but it's the most expensive one, so people just associate price with quality. Tim, doesn't Compass Box make an approximate blend for old school Blue Label fans? Do they? I don't know. That's the first I've heard of that, Tim. I'll need to look into that. I'm gonna do it on my phone. Let me have a look. Compass Box, Blue Label. See if anything comes up. Ultramarine. Can we still buy that? Can you buy that? Or has it been and gone? Let's see. Compass Box Ultramarine. You can chase yourself. 300 quid. I think we can. Let me see. Yeah, Ultramarine takes as its inspiration the antique sherry and pipe tobacco notes of a deluxe blended Scotch, first released in the late 1980s. And that's where that's you see that there. I don't know if we can get that in focus. Get my face at. So is that the blue? Is that the blue to signify for that? But it's 300 quid. So I'll stick to my Blue Label at that. But that's good to know. That's actually quite interesting they've done that. Jeffrey, League flagship, I also prefer the gold over the two. Yeah, over the 18-year-old. I think it's just interesting, especially when I was talking about like the Glenmorangie ad and the positioning of it, and I think anybody watching this is into whiskey. You're not watching this for fun and games. We live in such a small... We're such a small portion of buyers of whiskey compared to the general populace of what's out there, and when brands are trying to land that, it can get lost a little bit, I feel, and I think that's where some of the mismarketing's been. And that's fine. They can try and understand that. I think palate's a big thing. So of course, if you make your flagship bottle of Scotch, your Johnnie Walker Blue Label, palatable to as many people as possible, they will come away with a really positive experience. There's no smoke in there. It's light, it's fruity, sweet. I think that's the hook. That's what gets them. That's what keeps them. And they leave and they have such a positive reinforcement of it. Oh my god, that's lovely. Oh, so it's older. It must be older, and that's why it's more expensive. So you need to pay a lot of money for it to taste like that. Okay. And so that's what happens. The general public's not going to buy the full Johnnie Walker range and blind taste them and figure out what their favourite is. I think you even see it in stores now. You don't see green label in supermarkets like that anymore. You used to. I've not seen it for a while. The most expensive, you see bottles go up. The bottles go up and down in price in supermarkets because they push them up for a period of time to then cut the price for a sale. Excuse me. So there's an element of that happens in supermarkets. We've got a bit of a problem with the supermarkets because of that. If you keep putting out that stuff, you're not getting the other new stuff and distribution and going to specialists. And in America's got it right, in a way. In a way. You drive to these giant liquor barns or your Bevmos or whatever. In Kentucky and that, they have bars in the liquor store. I always find that quite funny because you have to drive to them. And I'm like, how can you drive? And then, anyway. And you can try. You buy pours. You sit. You buy the pours of like expensive stuff or whatever, but at cost price most of the time. And so then you can try before you buy. We don't have that culture. And so whiskey really struggles because the average consumer's spending 20 quid on a bottle of spirits. And at that, they might go to 30 quid for a whiskey if it's an occasion to gift to someone. Vodka, they buy on promotion. Whatever vodka's cheapest. And then they'll buy. So there is an element of that, so I can understand that position of Blue Label and going, we'll make it really palatable, really sweet, easy, quality, and then we'll be safe. Telling me Ultramarine even more pricey than the OG. Jeffrey's saying, only tasted the French cask something. Kind of vomit or the smell of a dumpster. Will never purchase another Compass box. Change my mind, send me a sample. Lol. The only Compass box I've bought outright is Orchard House. Because it's fantastic. It just tastes like apple juice on the nose. Just all those beautiful Highland notes. I think it's like Klein Leash and Glenord and stuff like that. It's just mad. It's mad how those waxy Highland turn into this like apple infused thing. But I've never tried the French one. I don't know which one you're talking about, Jeffrey. But I can. It's a shame it wasn't very nice for you. Right, the Blue Label went down a treat. So far we have had Singleton 12. Which was lovely to start off. We had the Thompson Brothers single cask, the Flow Malted Maris Otter 50 litre PX Octave cask, single cask. That was delicious. That gets better with time. I am looking forward to that probably in a couple of days. I think that will be outstanding now that it's been opened. And then we had the old Johnnie Walker Blue Label, which is just a really nice, palatable, fresh, light, sweet dram. Next up, so I pre-poured to get some air into these. Next up is something I've been looking forward to and saving. I really need to get. I'm positioned on a round table, and it just doesn't. It's such a nightmare for this. I need to get a desk. I need to get like an actual, so I've got room to manoeuvre all this stuff. Orchid House is good. Yeah, it's great. It's really good. I held off, thinking people were just giving it all that about that, and then I tried it at a show and I was blown away, and I was like, bastard. My own kind of ignorance. It's really good. It's really good. Really easy to drink, and it's a perfect whiskey to bring people into whiskey with, because you have the element of, you can mix it with soda or lemonade, and you get that super appley freshness to it, or you can give them it and they just smell it straight, and it just smells like apples. So you can't complain about that. I went and get this one. Let's see what colour it comes up on the screen, because look at that. And it is, you should know by now, it's just unbelievable value. Unbelievable, Jeff. 42 quid for a 57.1% 13-year-old Ben Rennes. But yeah, the Diageo vibe going on unintentionally. Yeah, this is just, there's been a lot of just thinking about it, there's been pushback, and if you're in the whiskey media space, by that I mean, are you reading Dram Face, or are you reading Instagram posts, or are you, like, how much content are you consuming about it? If you weren't, you would have missed it. But basically, Signatories came under some flack from some other independent bottlers because of this range that they're putting out. They put out the Secret Speyside, the Macallan, for like 45 quid. It was great. They put out this Ben Rennes for 42, 43 quid. It's phenomenal. They put out Highland Parks. They've put out, like, the stuff they're putting out is unreal. And they're reaping the benefit of their proactive approach back in the day when whiskey wasn't at boom and bust. And some of these independent bottlers, I think, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because they have paid a significant markup for casks to do their business and be that before these guys did it. After these guys did it, and now they're not happy because they're punting this stuff out and they're still having to sell to make any money back at like 70, 80, 90 quid. For a while, the Signatory stuff wasn't great, in my opinion. I was surprised the last couple of years when they were nominated in the Oswars as Best Independent Bottler. I just wasn't buying any other stuff. And then the last year, well, they announced it, didn't they? They announced it on the Oswars. And if you don't know what the Oswars are, that's the online Scotch Whisky Awards that Roy Aquaviti and Ralphie set up. They won, and then they made the announcement that we're going to put this release out, this 100 proof edition, and it's the Scotch 100 proof. It's just, first fill Oloroso Cherry on the nose. Wow, from Blue Label to that. That's sitting at 57.1. Oh, hitchy, but delicious. So moreish, thick, textured, heavy, but fantastic. Off the bat, reminds me of like a vermouth. Like, if you go to Spain, Mallorca, and get the vermouth with the ice and stuff, that fruitiness and the fortified, it's just lovely, lovely. And it drinks so easy. That proof, you should have, it should hurt. It doesn't hurt. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Jeffrey, taste apples and add in 10, love it, can be an everyday dram. Right, so if you love that, if you can try it, try the Orchard House somewhere, Orchard House. If not, if you can get it at a decent price, I wouldn't pay loads for it. Buy it, and you're going to get apples slapping you in the face all day, every day. I get the feeling it was a bit of frustration from Road Roads rather than a proper dig. Yeah, it was, and they came out with, to their credit, they came out with the blog post and stuff about it. But it was frustration. It absolutely was. But you can't hate the player. You can hate the game. That's what they say, isn't it? Don't hate the player, hate the game. They never. Signatory when they're doing anything wrong, and okay, you put it in as that blog post did about the taxation and this and that and that, but they bought this for like pennies on the pound. They're set up for it. They've been doing it for a long, long time, and they're within their right to put it out. And like, it's really hard for us to criticise it because it means we're getting phenomenal drinking whiskey at that price, and I could see this bottle, I reckon, give it a year and this bottle will be worth a fair bit at auction because of the quality of it. And not a fair bit, I don't mean like loads. I reckon people will be paying 80 quid for that, 90 quid, and still be happy. And they absolutely could have released it at 75 quid and people would have bought it and tried it and loved it. But they didn't. And so, more power to them. I just think that if you've got the gripe, have the word out of sight. Talk to each other. Don't do it in front of us. Tim, I'll join you on an old malt cask Ben Rinnes 13 refill. Fantastic. Cheers, Tim. It's so meaty. It's like there's so much going on there. Really enjoy it. Really enjoy it. As I say, that's my second bottle of that. And it's probably my last because I don't think I'm going to be able to get any. The fact that this was bottled on the 29th of November as well. Like, they got it out. Got it in, got it out. So yes, one last shout out. If you can find this anywhere, like the colour of that bottle, look at dark. If you can find it, just buy it. I've flogged it to people via Instagram in terms of me saying, get this, just get it, and people have, and no one's came back to me and went, why do you make me buy this? They've all came back and went, that is unbelievable. Alan, what's in the glass, by the way? Big man, what are you having? Jeffrey's on the La Santa. Tim's having the Ben Rinnes. Alan, we've got some more viewers. Let me know, guys. Anyone watching, let me know what you're having in the glass, if you can, or are you not? Are you having a cup of tea? Did anyone try Jan? Anyone have a break after the festivities? Just checking the chat, make sure I've not missed anything. All good. So Signatory Vintage, fantastic. Thompson Brothers have been great. I've enjoyed the Singleton, enjoyed the Blue Label. This year, I'm trying to just have more of new, but it doesn't need to be new release. Just try new stuff. Like, there's so many distilleries and like names that I've not had enough of. Highland Park, barely scratched the sides on Highland Park. Had the Highland Park 18 Or was it 21? And it was like, maybe it was 18. And it was like chocolate tangerine. That's what I remember getting from it. It was like chocolate tangerine. Had the curry earlier, so just drink my own infinity bottle. Is not sure I would appreciate anything else. Hell no to dry Jan. Yeah, exactly. Look, I fully endorse anyone doing dry Jan after December, because we all know December is mental, especially in the UK. Drinking culture, the way we are, it does everyone good if they need it to take that break. I used to do it. I used to go from like Jan to March, because of the job I work in, the industry I'm in. December, like mid-November to end of December is just disgusting. Well, it used to be, in terms of the amount you had to be out and drink and do stuff, and so I would just cut it out to make sure I could, because I think I would hope anyone watching, and if you don't, please let us know, have a healthy relationship with alcohol where we can come in and do it. People, like, I've got friends, family, my wife's friends and that will see how much whiskey I have. Oh, has David got a drink problem? If I did, I wouldn't have that much whiskey, to be honest. There would be a lot of empty bottles. Some of these bottles, like that Blue Label, taking 4 years to finish. But I think there's definitely great. People can have a hard stop and do it. More power to you. As I said, I did damp. Had one when I wanted one, but overall, cut back the beer. Great. So this infinity bottle, what is in it? Is it just a combination of everything that's kind of the dregs, or have you been quite pointed in it? I've got one of my friends in my whiskey group. He creates the most unbelievable sherry infinity bottles. He's a sherry geek. He loves his sherry, and it's very pointed, and he only puts good stuff in it, and he's very kind of considered with that. Festive period tame these days with young family. Don't worry, tell me if we ever doing it in December. Yeah, that's fair. For me, like the industry I'm in, probably is still for the younger ones. Been in it for a while now, so not that young, out and about as much as I used to be, but it's fueled a lot at Christmas time by boozy lunches, boozy nights out, and all that kind of stuff. To the point where like weekends would be, I wouldn't drink on the weekend due to work. During the week, even Christmas now, this Christmas here, we all got that horrible bug that went around. Started with my daughter, and then my wife, and then I got it. And I never had a whiskey from like the 22nd of December until like, I want to say maybe, I don't even know if I had one at New Year. It was like 2nd of Jan or something like that before I had a whiskey. So December was, I had it enforced. Last dram from every bottle I had in the last 10 years with exception. But, oh, fantastic, man. Your own Solera style, just keep topping it up. Tim, signature releases rarely let me down. Thompson Brothers have been reliable as well, but with less of sample size to compare the two, rating both highly. Yep. But that's it. I was talking about this, the new video's coming out, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You find your lane, you find where people have similar palates or taste to you, and then you get in it, and then you follow it, and you kind of have a little bit of blind faith where you're buying blind, but you know that they always kind of sort you out. And I think, yeah, absolutely, these signature releases now, fantastic. The Thompson Brothers, I've had one bottle from them that I just didn't get on with, but I don't think it was because what they put out was bad, it just wasn't for me. And it was a Ben Nevis beer cask, and it just tasted like beer. It was like a mash. I just couldn't agree with it. But that aside, Adelphi, get on with all their stuff. North Star, I would say 98% of the time, similar to Thompson Brothers, always had a good experience with them. There was one, who's the one? A.D. Rattray. I had a Ben Nevis from them, and it was phenomenal. And I've not seen much of their stuff put out. I don't know if they came and went, or they scaled it back, or what they were doing, but they're a good one as well to keep an eye out for. Jeffrey took a break, refilled my beer, and poured a wee dram of Glenlivet Nadura. I've got a bottle of Nadura, one of them there, that I've never got around to cracking open, but I've heard nothing but good stuff. What's the beer you're having as well? Are you on the lager, or is it more of a craft? Alan saying independent bottlers are like people. You can find ones that have similar tastes as yourself. I seem to align with James today. Exactly, that's exactly it. You just, everything in this space in whiskey is subjective. Tastes are personal. Like, some people like black coffee, some people like milky coffee, some people like chocolate, some people like crisps. Like, everybody's different. But in the whiskey space, especially, you it's so subjective, because somebody's going and trying a cask, and then they're going, I like that, let's bottle it. And if you're not the same as that person, then you're not going to like it. James Eady, I've not, to be honest, I've not bought. I don't think I've ever bought a bottle of James Eady. I've tried it shows, and it's been good. But again, it's exactly what I was saying about bringing new people into whiskey. It's just that fear of spending money on something and not knowing if you're going to like it or not. I don't want to be shelling out 55, 60 quid on a bottle and then being like, oh, that was crap. Here on the East Coast, been finding some nice older bottles. What have you been finding? And I'm assuming, are you talking East Coast? Are you in America, Jeffrey? Might have asked you that before. Apologies if I have. Ah, so good that. Such a good dram. Repeating myself and boring myself with it, but it's really good. So we've ticked off Harrison Ford. We've done that. We've spoke about the taxation. We have also chatted through some of these. I'd love to know what, if anything, are you excited about in the next couple of months in whiskey? Because as I said, I went to the shop, had a wander about. Wasn't much catching my eye. Is there anything that's like coming up that I'm missing? I was in this position last year, and that was part of why I went to Kentucky. And I thought, bourbon, I can find myself something new to learn about and pursue and enjoy and whatever. And it's been great, but the biggest problem is you're limited to what you can get over here. So then you kind of dream of going back over there to have all the mad bourbons that they have. Probably the exact same way that any Americans coming to Scotland or the UK and trying all the amazing whiskey, like the malts that they have. So I'm trying to find some excitement. I went into Selfridges a couple of weeks ago and looked at their whiskey selection, and they have a good selection, don't get me wrong, but they priced it like they had a bottle of Kilkerran 8-year-old sherry and it was 180 quid. I'm looking at it, I'm like, who's that for? And I quickly realised it's not for us, it's for tourists that come in London and buy that. She's crazy, and it just kind of made me a wee bit disheartened. And then I normally go to the Whisky Exchange, London Bridge, that's my go-to, but I went to the one at Covent Garden, and downstairs, and I kind of wandered and looked at the shelves, and there was nothing that caught my attention. Nothing that made me go, oh, I need to try that, I'll do that. And then tasting wise, I've not been able, because of the family, I've not been able to get out and about as much. There was Ardnamurchan tastings this week. I really wanted to go to one, just couldn't find the time. Just could not find the time to get to it. And I'm gutted about that because I would have loved. It was Ardnamurchan / Adelphi tastings, so I could have tried some good stuff, but missed out on that. But outside of that, I'm just struggling to get the buzz of like some good stuff. But Alan's came in with take my friend to Campbelltown on the 12th. That'll be fantastic. That's where my head's going. Get out and get to places this year and make the buzz myself as opposed to focus on the bottles. Have you got any, Alan? Have you got any of the tours lined up? Are you doing anything specific? Are you staying at the big hotel with the fancy bar in Campbelltown? And are you flying there, or are you driving? Or are you taking the bus? A million questions for you on that, because I've never been to Campbelltown from Glasgow. So if I go up to Glasgow, there's two flights a day, but there's an early morning flight, and you could technically, if you get lucky with the weather, do a day trip. You can fly in the morning, be in Campbelltown at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then fly out of Campbelltown at like 5:30. I've been really tempted to maybe look at that. I was actually walking with my daughter and my wife today, the dog, and it was a nice, clear, crisp day in London. And I said, I quite fancy going up north, up to the Highlands. And she said, funnily enough, I'm quite fancying that as well. So, might look into that. Dornoch's been on my list, because the Dornoch Castle Hotel, they've got a deal until March, I think it is. £99 a night. So, could maybe swing it. And bus, staying in a flat, Bally to Bottle. Ah, there you go. That'll be unbelievable. Barley to Bottle, all the warehouse tasting, and a Walt whiskey tasting. Brilliant. I've got a friend who took his missus on the Barley to Bottle tasting. She's not interested at all. And she made the most sherry possible bottle. And he advised her to sell it, and she sold it, and it paid for the trip. That was during the boom. That was during the madness. But it always made me laugh. But what an experience that'll be. That'll be fantastic. The Walt whiskey tasting as well will be great. Oh, they're great people. What? It's making me think. I know Campbelltown, I can't go at the festival. There's not a chance, but I need to get to Campbelltown. Put that back on the list. Derek, sorry, was AFK for a bit. I'm really excited by any releases from a blender in Ireland called Two Stacks. Yeah, Whiskey Amateur. If you follow him on Instagram and that, he's all about Two Stacks. Really into it. Did a bit at the whiskey show, trying. I don't know if it was a cans or it was some weird blend that they put out, but he goes on and on about it all the time in the best possible way. Not being disparaging. Not tried anything at all. So we'll need to check that out. Tim, if you do the Barley Bottle too, you get to blend your own Springback at the end. Highly recommended. Yeah, that's what a drip. Yeah, what a fantastic thing, especially for a 60th. And if you time it, so what you're going? Did you say February 12th? You might be there when the bottles hit the shelves. Was that conscious, Alan? Was that like, oh, let me take you here? Your 60th. Clear the shelves while you're there. That'll be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Jeffrey, the beer is National Bohemian 4.5, very light. What was the found? Seem to have been here for a while. East Coast of the USA. Nice, 4.5. So you're what? Time wise, it's 20 past 11. 5 hours? Is that right? So you 6 o'clock? 5? 6? And oh, okay. Jeffrey, now that I know the US, Super Bowl, who are you going for? East Coast? Are you Philly? Or are you going for the Chiefs? Go Birds. Tim. I hate saying this word because there's no right way. Cadenhead, warehouse tasting is a good one too. Enjoy your visit. Congrats. And no, my ears pricked up when you mentioned the SB releases earlier. Yeah, they are due. I'm telling you, they are due. It's, if I pull up, I'm going to have a quick search for you. Springbank local barley release 2025. 8 years old apparently this year is coming out. Try to see. Have a look. Release date. I need to ask. I need to ask my group. The guys always know. It's been bottled. So it was bottled in December. So it's coming. Local barley. 100%. But in 8 years. Local barley. Bit of a strange one. 6. Sorry, Jeffrey. 6 time. Yes. Okay. Now I remember. £6:52 PM. Birds. But didn't really follow this season. I feel like this. Know that I don't follow much American football, but this season it's kind of been low key a wee bit over here. I think last year the hype of Taylor Swift joining, like, and all that kind of stuff, and all went a wee bit funny. So everybody's eyes were on that. But now, one of my best mates is from Philly, and so I have that inherent go Philly, even though it's. And then I love It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but then Philly have won it as well recently. And then the Chiefs have the opportunity to do something no one's ever done, and I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. It doesn't matter who wins, as long as it's a good game. Who we kidding? Imagine saying that to an American fan. Apologies, Jeffrey. As long as the winner is sports. Right, we're going to do one last dram of the evening that I've not planned. You can't see it off camera. It's right here is my American whiskey cabinet that I say curated, but just filled. It came from, one can only presume, an old lady who maybe died in it because the smell of the perfume is so pronounced. It's so perfumed. But shall we go? I'm going to go for this. I'm going to get. Excuse me a second. Went for the Dickel Tennessee Single barrel whiskey, 15-year-old. Dicko's having a bit of a moment now, all of a sudden, in the States. They must have seen me do this on a stream and talk about it. That's all I can put it down to. It's they were talking about it in such a way that previously Bruzel was a big one on it. The minerality and how terrible it was, and no for him, and blah blah blah. And then in his recent videos, he's like, we're buying a single cask and we're getting this and we're doing that. And he's been converted. It's got such a lovely profile to it. It's just sorry, I'm trying not to laugh with all this smoke.
Hi there.
It's lovely. It's so good. We don't get it here for some reason. I saw a bottle recently in a store. Dicko bottled in Bond. They wanted 75 quid for it. And I just couldn't justify it because this in the States is like $55, $60. I know you're going to say to me, oh, $65, but you need to go to America to get it. Yes, I get that. But it's owned by, again, oh God, it's owned by Diageo. And yet, it doesn't make its way over here. And I think they're missing the trick. Like, they have Bullet, which keeps kind of popping up and disappearing again. But then you have something like that that's just in demand, and I don't know if they're not bringing it over here because of the demand in the States. Maybe they're building it up and it's going really well. But as a counterbalance to Jack Daniels, Alan, what was your approach to bourbon when you went to America? Did you go for the big hitter stuff, the middle road stuff you never see in the UK? So I went, I think next week, maybe when I do the stream, I'm going to just talk about that whole trip and maybe talk about like how I planned it and what my intentions were, my expectations, and then the reality. But when I was over there, I was just an open book, and I was willing to basically be a dumb tourist and just be like, you tell me what is good, you show me. Like on day one, we get there, we get to the hotel, we're knackered, time that we'd been travelling all day, and we'd flew London to Chicago and then Chicago to Louisville. Then we had to pick up the car, and I had to learn to drive in America for the first time, and then truck nearly fucking killed us. And we get to the hotel, we get in the room, we go to the hotel bar, and I just put myself in the barmaid's hand and just said to her, look, what is cheap and good? Because we were staying in the 23C museum hotel. I'd got this mad deal on it, but it had a really famous, it's like Proof on Main Street it's called, or something like that, really famous bourbon bar. But when they're famous, they don't come cheap. So I said to her, what's your cheapest and best? And she said JTS Brown, bottled in Bond. I think it was like $7 a pour. I was like, give me 2 of those and 2 Miller High Life for me and my mate. And after that, we just trusted people, and we were really fortunate. And what you'll find is out there, it's same. I think it'd be the same here. I would hope it'd be the same here. People buy the enthusiasm, like they lean in. They were. Everybody we met was like, why are you here? Why are you two Scottish guys here? I'm like, well, we're here to do the bourbon and do your whiskey, and they just loved the fact that we'd made the effort, and so they wanted to show off and show us their best. And I would like to think that if I was in a similar circumstance of meeting someone and they'd be like, oh, I'd be like, right, come on with me, I'm going to give you this, that. I do it with friends here when they come round here, and I'm like, oh, try that. So I know I would, but it was fantastic. It was just unbelievable. But you don't have, especially in Kentucky, you're not getting your BTAC or Pappy or anything like that. So you go into your lane, and your lane is what's good, what suits the palate. I think the best one I had that you can't get here, but that's really cheap, Green River, is owned by Bardstown now. Green River, great, fantastic, just really great. And I think it's like $35 a bottle. Tim, bit jealous, would love to go back again, maybe Ireland instead next time. Jeffrey, want to try that 15-year-old? Forgot to look for it yesterday at the store. I remember you mentioned it at past show. I do have enjoyed the bourbon 8 year. Yeah, Jeffrey, the Bruzel, I'm sure you've seen Bruzel on YouTube. There's an older Dickel now out as well, and people are going mad for it. And I don't know, I think it's the new, I don't know if she's Master Blender, Master Distiller. It's digging out good stuff. And I feel like it's she's digging it out in a way a bit like Billy Walker did at Glendronach, where she's finding the old stock the best and putting it out. And I think this stuff is a wee bit older than 15. But I don't know if America plays that way. Because in the UK, or in Scotch, you have to, the youngest whiskey is your age statement. Obviously that's single barrel, but I don't know if they're putting it under a 15 label and just putting out older stuff. There is, I will say about the Dickel, there is a minerality to it. But the minerality is a bit like, how would I describe it? Like a stick of gum, the foil paper around it. So not tin foil, but like the foil paper around it. There's like this little charge to it when you drink it. It feels silvery on top. That's the only way I can describe it. It feels silvery on top. But delicious. Anyone going to the States, no brainer. Just buy some Dickel. Bring it back. And enjoy it. Because at that price, it's unreal. As I said in one of the other streams, my friend that brought me this was not a bourbon guy, was not a whiskey guy, none of that. We cracked this open at Tyab's in London. He had a great experience with it. We came back here, we had some Pappy, we did just loads of drams. He's now a whiskey guy in LA, and he sorry, I'm absolutely distracted by Tim's comment there, which I'll put up. Best bourbon I've tried was in the Bonaccord in Glasgow. It was a BTAC, George T. Stagg. I'm in California, by the way. Tim, whereabouts in California are you? That's where my good friend is. I know California really well. But yes, George T. Stagg is phenomenal. And the one thing I would say about having it in a bar is if you see BTAC in a bar and the pour price is fine and you're happy to do it, buy one and buy something else and drink the something else and have your time with the something else and let it open up in the glass. Because when I've done BTAC tastings and I get poured 10ml and it's like, here's 10ml of George T. Stagg and here's 10ml of William LaRue, Weller and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, I've not got enough time, why am I necking these? Great expression example. Silver foil electric shock. Not silver foil like gum paper, where it's like the foil but paper underside. So you get that tiny little bit of that feeling. It's like a... Not that I would know, but I would imagine it's like going in a stream, taking some pebbles out and putting the pebbles in your mouth. That's the only way I can describe it. It's weird. It's weird. It's unique though. It's so different to like... The closest I would say, I was fortunate to try Jack Daniel's 10 and 12. And it's like the Jack Daniel's 10, which is phenomenal. It's again another phenomenal whiskey. Nothing like number 7. The 12 is like BTAC levels, but that's like the 10. Just not for San Francisco, right? So you have good liquor stores up there. I know that for a fact, because a friend of mine has to go out for work, out that way. I think he's out at, what's the name of that area? He's out that way anyway. He's in that particular region, and when he goes out, I'll Google where he's staying. He's like, "Well," I'm like, "What hotel you at?" Liquor stores, and I'll have a look. You'll get good stuff out there, but again, you won't get a sniff of the BTAC the way we will, I assume. It's so funny, isn't it? Like it's easier for us to get these really sought after bottles than for you guys, but supply and demand. The foil paper side, gotcha. Yeah, like it's like the minute there's like a weird chemical reaction going on with it. Guys, so far the ones that have stayed here, the duration, I've really appreciated it. Always appreciate you guys joining, especially when it's no agenda. It can be quite I can imagine it's quite a tough watch. Awkward pauses and me drinking some water and getting up and smoke machines going off and all that kind of stuff. So I always appreciate you joining. I don't know if that smoke's blocking up my nose, to be honest. Right. So we're saying the Dickel, last one of the evening, getting low down. Next week, don't worry, I'm still going to be here for the next 15 minutes or so. But next week, the ambition is I'm going to do a deep dive into the Kentucky trip of the year before. I'm going to talk about how I planned it. I'm going to talk about why I planned it. Lookouts, things that I found. The experience itself and what I think that whiskey, what I think Scotch whiskey in particular could learn from what they do out there. I think there's a million things that, of all the things we do, just doesn't work compared to them. Mark, you've got to share the love. Where are you ordering 2 bottles of this Ben Runis? Like, I do wonder how much they put out, because I'm pretty sure they filled the butts themselves. But if you got those, like, trust me, you can come back. If you're not happy after your first open, I'll buy the other one off you. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Thanks for reminding me to drink some water. Yeah, see, yeah. Look, unashamed. Stay hydrated. Also, mine's is sparkling, but I feel like it helps the palate a little bit with that. Appreciate it, Alan. Alan, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you watching. It's weird doing these. Like when I make the actual YouTube videos themselves, fine. I'm talking to a camera, away I go. On this, you go live and you just kind of feel a little bit like you're sat, floating about, like bobbing about in an ocean, and then you're just hoping somebody's coming by in a boat, and then you try and wave them down, and then you like, just talk to me, engage. So no, I appreciate it. I really do. I don't make any money off this at all. There's no money in this. Just in case people think, oh, he's doing this so that he can get ad revenue or anything. Like, there's no money in doing this. Zero pence. I do it because it's fun, and I enjoy talking to other whiskey people. So yes, as I was saying, next week we'll have the usual rambles and we'll chat away, but it will be focused on Kentucky stuff. So if you have any questions about that and anything during the week, have a think, come loaded. I'll get a flipboard and I'll point it and I'll be like, oh, this, that, and that. But no, it was the most random, wildest experience ever that I'm tempted to just like, oh, I could talk about it for days. Example being, today I'm walking my dog. I'm like, right, we've got a big walk ahead of us. We're going to go out for over an hour. Tire you out. Get my phone up. It's bourbon night. Chad and Sarah, put that on. And as I'm watching it, I remember to myself, I've sang karaoke with these people. Like, I was in a private room, like 8 other people singing karaoke, and they witnessed me do that, and then I witnessed them do that, and I'm just like, wild trip. Where you just realise that, like, you put yourself out there, it will come back to you. Jeffrey, sometimes small parties are the best. I'm enjoying everyone. Like, I'm not doing this for giant views either. And I also don't promote them. So the fact that you guys join in are unbelievable. I stuck this on my Instagram today because I knew I had the time. And I'm always very honest with everyone, saying, look, I have a young family. Life sometimes gets in the way. You just need to ride the punches. If I'd done this 10 years ago, this was a thing 10 years ago, it'd have been so much easier. Just me. Fine. Do what you want. So you have to kind of roll with the punches and get the time in when you can. So like I was saying, I've batched up tasting videos. And the irony of that is, you can very clearly see when I'm filming it, because I don't change clothes. I'm not got the time to do that. Come in, make the videos, do what I need to do.
Hi there.
You know, do everything like that. Get it sorted, move on. But I appreciate you guys always for being here. Right. Predictions. What are we saying? So, I was going to say, like, pricing wise. But actually, just think about that Chad and Sarah video that I was watching today. BTAC and Pappy have upped the prices this year. Like, pumped them up. Do we think anyone, bar Octomore, with a madness today, is going to be silly enough that they're going to try and pump prices up this year? Or do we think we're going to see prices down? Or do we think they're going to stay stationary? I hope against hope. I can't see it coming. Prices drop. I don't see how they can drop. I hope they drop. I keep looking for sales, but then the reality is stores buy at a certain cost price unless I'm mandated. So like we saw the Diageo sell off before Christmas. A lot of stuff dropped massively in price to prices that it probably should have been in the first place. And they got rid of a lot of stock. People snapped it up because it was this price and now it's that price. But the majority of people, are they going to be able to do that? I just don't know. I just worry. I just think if we're no excited by it and we're not buying it, what is it? What? Who's going to buy it? There's only so many of us coming in. Like new whiskey people. Suspect prices will remain roughly the same. Hopefully, we'll come in slightly over. See next 2 years. Yeah. I think taxation as well and fuel prices and I just always my number one fear. The one thing I always tell people is, how do we fill the funnel? How do we bring new people in? Like, not talking about young people, because I can't believe I said that. Like, yeah, you just saw on camera the reaction of me being old, and realising I'm old. But young people's palates are not defined, and I took a picture of this. I was reading a book the other day, and it was really pertinent. It's a TikToker's book of all things, and she is known as Condiment Claire. Let me see if I can find this. Condiment Claire. I was reading the book and I was like, that's a really good point. And I'm going to take a picture of this book. There it is there. Humans are born with 10,000 taste buds, right? And then as you get older, your taste buds die. Okay, so young people's taste buds are like exploding all the time, and so they're the flavour. I gave my daughter some goat's cheese in Spain, and it was the worst thing I ever did because her face was like she could. I think she could taste colours at that point. It was like mad. But reading that and being reaffirmed and going, no, you're right. Our palates die down. Therefore, we can then start to enjoy this. And anybody young who can enjoy it, fantastic. I'm not saying you can't. Just saying bringing new people in. So then my worry is when brands go after young people, young females, this, that, and that. Oh, we need to diverse and we need to do this and we need to do that. And this is not a rant about D&I or anything like that. So please don't mistake it for that. It's more just based on the actual science of the palate can't handle it. They don't want it. So how do we find a way to bring people in when the palate's ready? That's my question. And I don't know, to be honest. Tim, worried about a possible increase in import tariffs? Yes. So I was thinking about this. So Canada's going to, for reasons that I don't understand it myself, Canada's going to get spanked with tariffs. Will that open a pathway for us to get some good Canadian whiskey over here? Because we don't get any. It's really frustrating. I'm trying to look at the positives. I'm like, oh, well, maybe they could punt it over here and we could buy it at like normal price as opposed to like some mad inflated secondary. Alan, be interesting to see if secondary cash prices come down. That would hopefully help. Yes, I think we will see it, but we're about to approach a horrible moment, which is when all these whiskey investors, and I put that in inverted commas, and whiskey investors want to liquidate their investment, and they're going to discover A, that their casks don't exist, or B, that they bought a lot of shite whiskey that's worth nothing. I think we are seeing prices coming down. I think I'm looking at independent bottlers coming out with like new casks and flipping it and like quick turnaround. It seems to be stabilising and come down a little bit, but we're about to hit a really horrible time, and I don't think it's been publicised enough about the fraud, the absolute fraud of that the whiskey situation. Somebody was telling me, I might have said this before in the stream, that there was a company selling casks to people, made quite a bit of money selling casks that they didn't have, then were like shut down, bolted, and then the cops and whatever had their eye on them, and they knew that they had their eye on them, so then they went out there and repositioned themselves as lawyers representing the cops to get the information from the people that bought the casks, and then sold their services to the people buying the cask, got more money, and then fucked off again. And at that stage, you just kind of begrudgingly clap them for being absolute bastards, and doing people twice, selling the cask to them that doesn't exist, and then pretending that you're the lawyer's going to fix it for them. Not ideal. So all that's been going on. Jeffrey, haven't noticed price increase when buying whiskey and whiskies here, or gas or fuel prices change every couple of days. Yeah, you'll see that, but I think when these tariffs kick in again, you guys unfortunately will have to bear the brunt of it. It won't be nice. I think I wonder how it'll affect us with bourbon as well. We already get a markup because of the import duty and like just time and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to be a rocky couple of years until we figure out what's going on. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for that. Yeah, fantastic. You're hearing nice too. Great getting older. Oh, mate. Like, it sneaks up. You know, it's such a cliche. It's such a cliche, isn't it? It sneaks up on you and then it just punches you in the face one day. And you're just like, oh, but I could do this. I can do that. No, not anymore. Not anymore. And then, what was that? Because the hearing's gone. Taste is gone. That's why you've got to open your bottles. I hate that phrase, open your bottles. But, like, I was saving that for a special occasion. And the special occasion, being soppy, was you guys tonight. That's why I opened it. You know? He was in my ear. He's going...
So until we meet again, Slanjiva.
You know? Some man.
Quite well. Thank you very much.
That Dickle's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Right, we've got the last 5 minutes coming up to midnight. Unleash it, chat. Let me know what you want to talk about. Let me know what you want to say out loud. Canada hangs on to the good stuff. Yes, exactly, they do. Shelter Point. I've heard nothing but great stuff about Shelter Point. 2 brewers in McLean. Yeah. I watch a lot of Whiskey in the Six. I've watched Whiskey in the Six for a long time. Like, he goes on about the like great Canadian whiskey and why is no one talking about it. No one sees it. We don't get to see it. Send it this way. come on, sort it out. Jeffrey, I don't have the hearing issue. My eyes need a refresh. I went for an eye test last week, funnily enough. Pardon me. My work gives us like an eye test voucher thing, credit, and so I finally was like, oh, I need to go and do it. Went and did it. Everything came back like nothing's really ever changed. I wear contacts, nothing changed. I was like, oh, I'm going to get glasses again. Went, picked up the glasses, put the glasses on, and I felt like I was a camera trying to focus. And then they went, oh yeah, no, that's just because the muscles aren't as strong anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? The muscles aren't as strong anymore? Can they get stronger again? They're like, no. And then they went, when I did the eye test, she was like, oh yeah, so you're short-sighted, yeah. And you can read up close? And I was like, yeah. And she was, yeah. Eventually you'll need glasses for up close. I'm like, are you seeing that in the machine? Is the machine telling you my eyes are like dying, or are you just saying this to try and upsell me something? And so every night now I wear an eye mask that's heated up, and it releases the oils from under my eyelids, and then I have to massage my eyes for 2 minutes. Definitely not an upsell. Definitely not. Seen Knob Creek 9 seems to be selling good price at the moment. Worth a punt. I've not had Knob Creek 9. I've got Knob Creek 12 there from last year that I bought in Kentucky. They're not owned. You know what? Jim Beam. Again, I think some of these brands do themselves a disservice. Jack Daniels. If we say Jack Daniels, if we say JD and Coke, Jack Daniels, you kind of go, oh, it's crap whiskey. And it is. Jim Beam, I think, done the same. Where they pump it further under the same name, and it just devalues the brand so massively. Knob Creek's great. So I think, just buy it. Like, the worst that will happen with it is you'll have a great bourbon and Coke. Like, I've seen the price of that, and I wonder if it is general Joe blogs, general public. Don't know Knob Creek's Jim Beam or whatever, but I think you'll be fine. I would absolutely have that. The range you can hear in dies with age. Thanks for keeping it happy, Alan. Can still hear those corks popping though, can't we? Hope not. Can you really smell the neighbours a few houses down smoking? Lol. It's mental. I'm gonna end this. I'm ending the stream on just how mental it is that for a country that restricts so much and it goes so hard. We are the prudes when it comes to like weed and stuff like that. There's like hardly no. It's still the most medical in the world, but no, absolutely not. And yet America is so restricted to take. But you go everywhere in America and you just smell weed. It's so funny. I won't mention Libiado. That's what I'm calling it, Alan. Libiado. Because I know not what of you speak. I think I knew him when I was young. My 20s. My teens and my 20s. And then he moved away, and then some guy came in with whiskey, and then I spent my night on a Saturday night on a live stream. But ladies and gents, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, as always. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I can see my breath in here now. It's no longer the smoke machine. Great time to call it end of the night. Hope the drams are treating you as well as they've treated me this evening. And I will see you next week for a bit of Kentucky Madness. I've said this today, I can't believe it's been a year. I wish I was going back. Fantastic. We're going to be talking all things Kentucky. We're going to be talking all things bourbon, Tennessee whiskey, all that kind of stuff. And we'll still talk Scotch. We'll talk about whatever you want. But till next time, guys, really appreciate you for joining. Cheers.